Welcome to Rosalia and Veronica's podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Rosalia.
And I'm Veronica.
Today we're going to be talking about our upbringing and our childhood. If you're new here, we're sisters. Our mother had 6 children. I am the second oldest. I am the oldest daughter.
Okay. And I'm the 5th child, the youngest daughter.
Our parents were married for 10 years and they had 5 kids together. Just dive in deep and start talking about our mom.
Okay, so our mom worked a lot. As far as I can remember, my dad never had a job. He was just in and out of jail. He was a drug addict. So my mom was the caretaker of us, but she also worked 2 to 3 jobs that she didn't have to, but chose to. And so we were at our grandparents' houses every single weekend, and they were taking care of us while she worked her 2 jobs, living off of government assistance. You name it, she had it.
Yeah.
So she had
Section 8.
Section 8, food stamps.
Welfare.
Well, that welfare, I guess. Cash aid.
Yeah.
Everything that you can think of, she was getting, which didn't make sense to us because now that we think about it as adults too, we're like, well, why did she work so much? She literally had millionaire parents and she was on Section 8 and we lived in our grandparents' houses for majority of our life, our childhood. So she was barely paying anything. I think $100 on rent.
Yeah.
Probably. So why are you working so much and you have 6 kids
who needed you?
Yeah. And it just didn't make sense to us. And obviously when you're young, you don't really think like, oh, well, why is mommy never here? Why is mama going there? Why is she working so much? We just thought she was taking care of us. Like she needed to work to provide for us, which in reality was not the case because, like I said, she was on government assistance
and her parents always bailed her out. She would rack up her credit cards. She said it would be on stuff for us, but our grandparents bought us school clothes, so we don't really know what she did with the credit cards. But they would bail her out every single year, pay off her credit cards.
It kind of didn't make sense to me because she bought her first house when I was 15 years old. And I feel like you working 2 to 3 jobs and not even being able to buy your own house until I'm 15. I mean, like I said, I'm the 5th child. So like my sister, Rosalie, was already grown and out of the house when our mom bought the house. And it didn't make sense. Like, what was she doing with her money? Right? And now that we're like adults, we talk about that all the time. Like, what do you think she was doing with her money? Like, what could she have possibly been doing with it? And to even be in debt, like, how are you even in so far down the drain when you work all these jobs and you have no bills, basically? Like, your parents help you with everything. It kind of didn't make sense to us.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Maybe someday we'll get her on this podcast. We don't have a relationship with her now, but maybe we'll be able to get all those questions answered someday.
I hope so. I feel like she actually, I don't know how truthful she'll be, but maybe she will be like, this is what I would do. I mean, obviously this is a podcast and this is going to be live and people are going to be listening. I don't know how much she wants people in her life, but I hope that she can tell you guys her truth versus our outlook. Like, we're looking in, she's looking out. Like, what, I don't know.
And we're mothers, obviously. So we're looking at it from our standpoint too, on how we could have never have done what she did to us, to our own children.
Yeah, there's no way like I would ever be able to leave my kids every single weekend,
or drop them off at daycare at 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah, it was and we were at daycare from like 3 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Every single day.
Every single day. Can you imagine being 4 or 5 years old and not, being with any parent all day long? Like, that's crazy. But yeah, that was our life. So as far as I can remember, Nona, she did a lot for us. Like, it was a lot of good memories. Every weekend that she had us, she would take us to the zoo. She would take us to the beach. She would take us to the park. She kept us really busy. We'd go on hikes like across the street from her house.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there were 6 of us. That's a lot, but she faithfully did it every single time she had us. She made sure we were not in the house, and we always had a home cooked meal every single time. We would go in the house after doing whatever she had planned for us. We would have a home cooked meal.
Whenever we were not at our Nona's house, we were at our Graham's house, which was our dad's mom. And over there was a completely different environment. I would say she didn't really watch us. It was more so our aunts who watched us, her daughters. Over there, it felt like we were limited on stuff.
Yeah.
We were limited on what we could do, like going outside. We were limited on food, on how much you got to eat. It was completely different than Nona's house. And I get it, like she was watching 6 kids. And I remember that my mom always had to provide the food for us. And when it was gone, it was gone. We mostly ate, I remember just eating like hot dogs,
beans, SpaghettiOs.
Yeah, it was completely different. There were definitely, I don't remember any home cooked meals at her house.
I also feel like Mama had just like at ease at Nona's house. Like she didn't have to worry about providing anything for us.
Yeah.
And then it was more so like at Gramps' house, like I just pack whatever I can pack, whatever we got in the house.
Cereal.
Yeah. Because she had to provide for us at that house. So yeah, it was a whole different environment for us. Yeah.
And we don't really know the truth on, we know that when Nona watched us, obviously she didn't charge our mom any money.
Right.
But when Grams watched us, our mom said that she had to pay. So she provided the food and she paid for her to watch us. And,
which I
but
see.
Grams would make it sound like she didn't get paid.
Like I can kind of see our mom having to pay Grams. Even if she was paying Grams or my aunts, whoever was watching us, I can kind of see that in a way.
I could too.
Yeah. Because they didn't do anything for free.
No,
none of them did. Yes, our aunts took us places, but it wasn't like Nona, where it was every single weekend. It was like once a year or like twice a year. They would take us to like an amusement park or something, but it was not. If we were going to a park at Graham's house, it was because my dad was walking us to that park. Because my dad lived at my grandma's house, at his mom's house. So yeah, he was even there too, but that's a long story.
That's a story for another day.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about Papa.
Yeah.
That's what we call our dad.
Yes.
So our dad was in and out of our lives. He was in and out of jail, like we said. I'm pretty sure he even went to prison.
Yeah.
He was a drug addict.
I'm sure he even was a drug dealer. Because how else was he getting money? Right?
Probably. I mean, Mama always did say, I remember her saying that he was stealing from her.
Mm-hmm. And he always had like friends that were his friends. So I'm sure that he was a drug dealer, that he would sneak in and out of the windows at night and stuff. Do whatever he needed to do to be high, and then he would come back through the bathroom window.
Yeah.
Which was very tiny. Before he tried to come back through the bathroom window before our mom would wake up, but she already knew he was gone. So, but then what I can remember, like he was in, obviously I was young because I'm one of the youngest. I have a little brother, but I'm 5, child number 5, and I was really young, but I don't remember a lot of my dad in the picture as far as I can remember. I know Rosalie might know way more because she's 4 years older than me, but the only thing, bits and parts, I can remember him cooking us beans and hot dogs sometimes for lunch. But that's literally, like, I have no memory of him being in our house at all. The only memory I have of him is the memory of us coming home to something traumatic when I was 5 years old. So other than that, I don't got no memories of him. I don't know what memories you might have of him.
Well, I remember.
I know you said like he used to take us places.
Yeah, that he wasn't supposed to be taking us.
When my mom was at work.
She'd be at work and we were supposed to stay home, and she'd always tell me, make sure you guys stay home, Rosalia, which she shouldn't put that kind of pressure on a little kid.
Yeah.
But I remember one time my dad was like, come on, we're leaving. And I was like, well, where are we going? We're not supposed to go anywhere. And he's like, Rosalia, get in the taxi. He done called a taxi to pick us up. So I was like, well, Mama said for us to not go anywhere. And he goes, we're going to go see her. So I'm like, okay. And he actually did take us to go see her that time. Usually he would say we're going to go see her, but he wouldn't. We'd end up in an alley in somebody's house, and we would all be sitting in the living room waiting for him, doing whatever he was doing up in the room. So.
And my mom used to work at like the swap meet every weekend. I think that's where he took us.
Yeah, that is where he took us the one time that I was like, we're not supposed to leave. And he's like, let's go. We're going to go see her. And he did take us to the swap meet that time. I do remember him working at the swap meet with her, and we'd be at Nona's house or we'd be at Graham's house on the weekends. I do remember him. I remember him being around. I think I was in like second grade. And I remember that time because one of our sisters had trouble in school, and he would go to school with her and sit in class with her and help her do all of her classwork, because they didn't have any like special programs back then at the school that we were attending. So he would sit there and help her. I do remember that. And I believe that probably around that same year, every Friday, our parents, both our mom and dad, would take us out of school early. You probably weren't even in school yet if I was in second grade.
I don't even remember any of this, so.
Oh, well, yeah. They would take us out of school early on Fridays, and they would take us like to the beach or to the park, and they were like, oh yeah, this is our family fun day. And we were okay with it. And I mean, other than that, I don't remember him like working. Mama was always the provider. I remember him staying at home with us, and he's supposed to be watching us, but he'd be in the room watching cowboys and Indians, whatever he was watching. And we would be outside running buck wild. And then as soon as we said we were hungry, like Veronica said, he would be making us some pork and beans and hot dogs. Along with hot dogs and beans, he would get us each a mug, and he would put a huge scoop of peanut butter, a huge scoop of jelly. He would mix it up, and then he would pour some milk in there, and we would eat that.
I'm so glad I don't remember that.
And we actually thought it was like really good. We liked it better than the hot dogs and beans.
Whoa.
But when my mom got home, she would be so pissed because she had to wash the dishes. He never washed any of the dishes. So she'd be mad because there would be 7 mugs in the sink.
Some peanut butter.
Full of peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, I don't remember any of that. I guess that's a kind of good. That's crazy. And I know I said that we didn't have a lot of memories, like of, she mentioned that they would take us to like the beach and the park. I don't remember my dad being present for this, but I know my mom used to take us roller skating.
Oh, yes.
A lot.
Yes.
I was always at the skating ring, I feel
every
like.
weekend.
I think it was like every weekend.
For a couple years, we went all the time.
She went faithfully. And she used to take us like grunion hunting.
Yeah. If you don't know what that is, it's when the grunions, they're fish, they come up on the shore to lay their eggs.
Them with their hands. And it was fun. We thought that was like the funnest thing ever. And you'd go like in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So she'd get us all up. We'd get all ready. Did we go with like her friend or something? I feel like
we used
someone
to go.
Was there.
We went with Dominic. I don't know if you remember Dominic and
I
Alex
remember
from
Dominic
daycare.
And Alex. Okay.
We went with their mom and them.
Okay, I do remember going with someone. But yeah, that's 2 of the memories I have of doing stuff. Growing up, obviously, we're 4 years apart, but like both of our birthdays are in August. So we always had to share a birthday.
Yeah, we never had our own birthday.
I don't think I had my own birthday until I was like 10. And that's because my aunt from my dad's side, my dad's sister, she threw me a birthday party at her pool. And so that was like my first pool party that I had by myself. But that's like, dang, like the first 9 years of life, I like shared a birthday with her.
How do you think I felt?
Shit. But yeah, not that that's a bad thing. But yeah.
And now we share our birthdays and we don't care.
And we don't care. We're like, hey, let's do a barbecue this weekend.
Yeah.
Like, invite your people, I'll invite my people, whatever. So, but yeah.
Back to Papa.
Yeah. It's back to Papa. Sorry, we're a little off topic. When you start talking about things. I don't have a lot of memory of him, but he did go through an accident, which led him to have a TBI. So after that, after his brain injury, he couldn't be a dad. I mean, he didn't even remember us for the longest time.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't even know who we were. It was, like, quite sad. So that's why I say, like, when we were at our grandma's house, he was there, but I don't think he knew he had kids. Like, we'd be like, hey, Papa, it's me. Like, my nickname is Nika. I'm like, it's Nika, your daughter. Like, that's how we would be every time we see him. Like, hey, it's Rosalia, your daughter. I'm like, oh, yeah.
Trying to help him to remember us.
Hey, what's up? Like, I don't think he really knew what's going on.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, it was...
That's pretty much all the words we got out of him.
For years. How you doing? Oh, yeah, that's nice. And that was it. Those were the only words he ever said to us. So, yeah, it was quite weird to go visit on that side of the family, and you have your dad present, but he's like not really present.
Yeah.
So, and that's, yeah, I feel like he didn't even become, like, he wasn't even aware we were his kids until we were adults.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And that happened when I was 5. So, can you imagine, like, your dad not knowing anything about, or remembering, like, anything about you for, like, what, 15 years? How old was I? Like 20 when he started like coming around, I feel like.
Maybe.
Because my grandma passed away when I was 19. So, and I feel like it was shortly after that he started remembering little bits and pieces of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, it was like 15 years. That's a long time.
Even though our dad had a TBI, in my mind, it's just, he was never there even before. Yeah. He wasn't there for us.
No, he was in and out.
Like I said, he was in and out of jail. He was on drugs. He didn't choose us.
Even with the injury, like, he was still finding ways to do drugs.
Yep.
He was still finding ways to
get alcohol.
Yeah, he was very... Like, I wanted to be, like, nothing, like, oh, you know, they say that addicts, it, like, runs in generations, and I'm just like, I hope nobody from us end up like that, or none of our kids end up like that. Sometimes it could skip a generation. Yeah, I was really hopeful that nobody would follow in those footsteps. And being that our parents were, like, basically in and out of our lives, even though we lived with our mom, that's why we are the moms we are. Like, we chose the opposite. We wanted to be nothing like them. So,
yeah, it was a true eye-opener. Everything that they put us through, I knew in the back of my mind that I would never do that to my kids.
Yeah, same. Because it was, I mean, our mom was something else, which I feel like we'll get into in another episode. Like, dive really deep into that, because it was a lot. Like I said, that's why we decided to make a podcast, because we talk a little bit about our trauma, like on TikTok or social media and stuff, but it ain't even half of it. It's like one little minute clip of a little bit of, you know, what went on in our lives. People always say, oh, it's sad. Well, you have no idea how sad it was. So before we go deep into, our mom, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this episode because our next episode we'll be diving way deep into talking about her a lot more. Go ahead and download the episode, like it, share it with family and friends, and we'll see you guys in our next episode.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.